This is a game featuring From Gambit. It comes from the bird, which is f4, and the gambit is taking the pawn on e5. Normally, black would play d5, but for the gambit of e5 with this, and taking the pawn, for example, with this, you have something like d6, so you can develop real quick. And then when the pawn takes with this, and the bishop takes, black has given up a pawn, but he's getting quick development with the bishop out and trying to get the other pieces going with this. At this point, there's moves like g3 to hold, d3, but you can play knight f3 with this and develop a piece for white, and so far he's safe. Black will then play knight to f6, getting his pieces ready to castle or attack. And now white wants to control the center with the d4 with this. He could have played something like c3 or g3, but this makes sense, controlling the center real quick. He's a pawn up. Black could castle right away if he wanted to, or he could have played the knight to g4, attacking on that. But in this case, knight goes to e4, controlling that center with the knight. Now, white can play e3 and allow black to castle, or he could also play g3 and allow the castle, but white's controlling the center with c4 with all these squares up here, so that black continues with his development and castling kingside as early as possible to get these pieces out into the game. At this point, white can try something like queen to b3, and then black will get his rook in the center with e8, or he can develop his knight to c3 and black will try to pin it. But he wants to get his pieces out, e3, hoping that he can get his bishop out to something like d3 and castle with that. Well, black has the choice of pinning it, checking it, and then white can put his knight in front, knight to d2. But black is still down a pawn, and white's going to play queen to c2, trying to control long diagonals this way with that. Black then decides to bring this bishop to g4 after this knight, kingside attack, etc. Now the trap is the losing move is this, h3, trying to kick it back. He had so many other options. For example, white could have played bishop to d3. Black can take that piece, and then if white castles, black gets a good development with knight c6. If he didn't like bishop d3, he can play bishop e2. We'll still take the knight. Bishop's going to take back with the bishop. And now black's got this check with g3, with queen h4, and then white plays g3. Black sacrifices the bishop with bishop takes at g3, check. Can't really move, and he can't take without losing the rook, so that would lose the rook. So he'll continue with the knight to b2, knight f6, etc. with this. So those are some of the options that can be played. So the losing move with h3, black sacrifices his queen, and this is pretty neat, checkmate. So what can he do with this? When you first saw the h3, the first tendency is just to take and then check. The white king moves to king e2 and develop, and not much else happens. However, with this check on this, and taking all the pieces out like this, black simply plays bishop to g3, check. Queen's got to go in front and mate. So there you go. You have a sacrifice of the queen, and no other move is going to help white get out of check with this. So that's an important sacrifice and a good trap. As you see, got too many pieces on it, and king has nowhere to go, and checkmate. And that's from the From Gambit. It's actually played on the internet in 1997.